Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
Woo. Oh, it's Springsteen. I'm checking.
Wow.
I'm
Joe Surratt, and I'm appalled at that intro.
We've done it 6 times today.
But that one was there you go.
Got back in the plane. He's safe now.
I've never seen anybody jump out of a plane and then go back into the plane. That was pretty special. Pretty special. All right, yeah.
What'd you do?
It was good. Nothing really. I kind of lounged around on Saturday, and yesterday I just did some yard work, grocery shopping. No soccer this week. We got canceled because the fields were just utterly mud puddles. As you know, it's been raining here nonstop. I worked on my ark that I'm building outside, but other than that, nothing crazy. What about you guys?
I didn't do a whole lot. I got to watch Logan play. He played in the 18U game. He's only 16, as you guys know, but he got to play in with the older kids, and he had 2 goals on Saturday night, and the game was 2-2. So he played really well. Yesterday they lost, but he played good again, especially against kids that are all, either seniors or post grads. So.
Well, he is 6'4", 220 pounds, so I mean he's kind of
yeah.
He fits the bill.
Yeah, he's built like he's 23, but
that's true.
Yeah, nice. My weekend was completely uneventful. I spent it recovering from the plague.
Bubonic.
Yeah. Binge watched some Fire Stick. Good. Other than that, I've been sick. So.
What, Power? Right? You
Power. Yeah. I watched Power. I'm in season 3 now.
They actually had a spinoff now too, I believe.
Yeah, book 2. I can't wait to get to it. I don't ruin anything.
I stopped watching it around when you watched it. I don't know why. I just did. I think the story was too much for me.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it. I don't know anything about it. I'll check it out though. I feel like I just watch the same things over and over again. I'm kind of a creature of habit, so starting anything new is scary for me. So I'll check it out.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So Chad, why don't you pitch us an
Upsco Expo, a class? Let me pitch you. Connections Are King by Nathan Burns. He's going to talk about kind of the evolution of the wire connectors and how their proper use underground will make your tracer wires be traceable still, essentially. So that was a lot of tracing.
That's a lot of tracing in there.
What day is that on?
That's on December 3rd from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nathan Burns, Connections Are King.
Okay. Well, I'm going to promote Proper Squeezing of Plastic Pipe, brought to you in part by James Taylor of Footage Tools. It's exactly what it sounds like it's going to be.
There's going to be no secrets.
Squeezing plastic pipe. And that's going to take place on December 6th, 10:30 to 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, as Chad so eloquently put. How about you, Joe?
I'm gonna go with Dirk Smith from Ionix. Both, as you guys will kind of jump ahead, Dirk and James are our special guests this week, so we're kind of giving them a little pump. You can introduce them still, but relax. Everybody would have gotten to that conclusion. So Dirk Smith, Ionix Train the Trainer program. It's just the proper use of static suppressant spray, which is also impossible for me to say. That will be December 2nd, 12:30 to 1:30, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, we've had really good outpouring from a lot of people. Please, if you haven't yet and you're watching this, go to upscoexpo.com and you can register for all the classes. I think there's 25 or 26, if I counted properly, that are available.
Good chance
you didn't count properly, guys.
I'm assuming that I didn't. If anybody wants to comment and challenge me on that, I'd like to see you do that. But yeah, so we're excited about it, and like I said, we've gotten some really good feedback, and it seems like it's going to be really well attended. So keep them coming. We really look forward to it.
Well, with that said, that these last 2 classes that we just pitched for the Upsco Expo
are our roundtable of the day.
Our roundtable for the day with Dirk Smith and James Taylor. I was not there for the interview, as previously stated. I had the plague, and I've been on commission since tonight, roughly. So without
you get a free pass on that one. I think the class was good. The roundtable was good. We wanted to just promote like how products fit together and meet in the industry and in the ditch. So hope you guys like this.
Should be fun. My Chad just made a rabbit face, but
Because I thought Joe froze in the middle of it.
I knew that you thought I froze, so I kind of paused because I was thinking, great, I'm frozen.
Well, then I made a funny
All right.
face. I'm sorry.
So without further ado,
Please get them on the show.
Taylor Roundtable.
Hey, welcome to the show. James Taylor with Footage and Dirk Smith from Ionix. We're doing a little bit of a mashup show today. It's kind of our first one, so thank you guys for being a part of that. As you guys
sure it
can
won't
see,
be a mess.
Yeah, it'll be a complete disaster. As you can see, we're missing one of our stooges here. Teddy's I'm frozen.
He's off on a sales call. Teddy's on a sales call. So Joe has the worst internet connection in the world the last few days, which is kind of something that we all live with in virtual world. JT just always looks like that. Sorry, JT, I love you. You look froze too.
Gotta just keep moving to make sure I'm.
So what we're kind of trying to do is Joe and I, Ted's out on a sales call, but Joe and I wanted to have a little bit of a roundtable on two products that kind of work together in the ditch. They aren't typically trained on together or talked about together all that much, but they really should be, and that's what we're trying to bring a little education to the industry and talk about how Footage squeeze-off tools and Ionix static suppressing can and do work together. So why don't we just start, JT, why don't you just give us a little background of you, other than you like long walks on the beach, we'll take something else, just about you and Footage.
Yeah, with Footage for my 24th year. Footage is a manufacturing facility. We manufacture squeeze-offs from 1/2 inch to 16 inch for plastic and 1/2 inch to 12 inch for steel. Canadian based, and we're going to talk about some static today. All of our PE tools come with a static ground spike on them to ground the tool. And reason why we do that, when the pipe is squeezed or partially squeezed, it puts a Venturi effect in. And I'm just going to show you a quick picture here. I'm going to share of when that happens, the gas molecules get excited. That would take too much of Dirk's thunder, but why we do as a squeeze-off manufacturer, we put a grounding spike on the tool, grounds the tool. In an unlikely event of a burn through of the pipe, so that jumps through, tool can be grounded. So when the pipe is sort of in this phase, and picture number 2, just give me 1 second here.
Wait for
picture
it.
number.
Wow.
So number one,
the tool is just interactive screen sharing as well. Woo!
There you go. So picture number 1.
It's actually not the first time, but
picture number 1 shows the tool just starting to squeeze or just ready to go. Picture 2 is where the static starts to build, and then number 3, static's not so much, but it's still present. And the other side, you'll see all of our tools come with a ground spike and attached in that way, in that fashion. So picture number 2, where it starts to get smaller and thinner in diameter, Venturi effect, where we want that protection to really come into play, where those molecules start getting excited.
Maybe a stupid question right along with all of this, but the static, and maybe this is a question for you too, Dirk, that static that comes from the pipe is because the molecules in the plastic are starting to move, correct, as it's getting squeezed. Am I right? And Dirk's like the static king, so go ahead, Dirk.
Basically, it's caused by the friction, by the friction of the gas rubbing against the polyethylene. And as JT said, when you start to squeeze the pipe down, the velocity of the gas starts to increase, increasing the friction on the inside edge of the pipe. The more you squeeze down, the faster the gas is going to go through there, the more friction you're going to have until the time it eventually shuts off when the tool has come down and closed the pipe.
Gotcha. So when you guys are talking about that burn through, and I'm just trying to make it pretty simple for the people that are watching this from their couch. When you're talking about the burn through, and once again, I'm asking probably what could be a stupid question, but you're talking about that static, like I've sat through your presentations before, Dirk, and all of that comes pretty much from the gas going inside of the pipe. There isn't many other things. So how does that end up coming out of the pipe and onto the squeeze tool or vice versa? How does that go to ground eventually?
Well, let me see if I can get a little
you're going to screen share too? This is two people.
Dual screen sharing.
Listen, let it never be said that UPSCO is not on the leading edge of technology.
You and your rock are squeezing it.
Meanwhile, I every 30 seconds. So yeah, we're really killing it over here.
Thanks for waking up, Joe. This is your Footage tool. It's starting to squeeze off, like JT said. And what happens is you see downstream, I don't know if my cursor shows real well.
Yeah,
but
you're there.
downstream,
Yeah, we can see it.
there's a significant buildup of static downstream inside the pipe. Now, when the tool comes in contact with a pipe, this being metal, and as you ground the pipe, if there's a charge on the inside of the pipe, there's a point where polyethylene will resist an electrical flow, but there's a limit. Just like if you take medium density pipe, it will withstand 125 pounds. You put it at 300 pounds, it's going to fail.
Sure.
It's the same thing electrically. If you put too much of electrical charge inside the pipe and there's a ground on the other side, it's going to want to pass through that pipe, and there's a pipe wall, and there's a limit to how much it can resist it.
That's kind of the same in pipe coating too, right? Right? I mean, in dielectric strength, sort of, if I'm correct.
I'm sorry, say the question again now.
Is that with cathodic protection a little bit when you're coating pipe, that you're doing the same thing with dielectric strength in the polyethylene or whatever it is? That's interesting. I just relate it back to coating and corrosion and that. Go ahead, though. Sorry.
Okay. But what happens is the reason you ground your tool is since the worker is touching that tool, if the charge underneath the tool that's coming in contact with the pipe would arc through the pipe, if you didn't ground that tool, the charge would go through the worker. So
Gotcha.
the purpose of grounding your tool is to protect your worker. So when the charge gets so high inside the pipe and it arcs through the wall or burns out or arcs through the wall, as you call it, and goes to the tool, it gets grounded. Now, the problem that everybody has to remember, there's still static charges downstream and upstream from that squeeze off, which aren't grounded through the tool. That's why you spray the outside of the pipe, both upstream and downstream, with our aerosol static suppressor to suppress that static that's been generated during squeeze off. So you want to ground the tool, but you also want to dissipate the static on the outside of the pipe, particularly downstream.
Huh. That's really
That's
interesting.
crazy. Dirk, I know this might be a silly question and there may not be a real good answer to it, but do you is there a recommendation as far as like when you do a squeeze, how far beyond the actual squeeze that you would spray your static suppressant spray? Is there a magic number, 2 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet? I mean, what typically is that? Does it depend on diameter of the pipe, or just curious?
There has not been any research, to my knowledge, of that particular question. It really is one of those things that, it's better to be safer than sorry. So especially downstream, spray is, I'd go at least 3 or 4 feet. And the same upstream, you got to do it upstream also. So but there's been no research that I'm aware of for that, Joe.
Interesting. I was just curious because I knew that's a question I've gotten in the past. Like, when we spray it, like how far? Because everybody has a requirement or a recommendation. But I guess it's just making sure that you, you cover enough of that to be able to dissipate close to where you're squeezing. Essentially.
Yeah. Now the other thing this will be helpful too is the first articles that ever came out about static and polyethylene pipe occurred during squeeze off, because what happens is that static inside gets so high that just like it can burn out through to the tool, it can also burn out on downstream, and it causes pinhole leaks. So by spraying the pipe downstream and upstream, you help mitigate the possibility of that happening.
Cool. Can we get back to the regular screen, because you guys are like 1 inch size on my my computer. There we go.
Now, I think this might be the episode full of what may be considered stupid or dumb questions by me and Joe.
We've done 27 of those.
Would there be any advantage, and JT, maybe you can chime in too, would there be any advantage of squeezing as you're starting to make that squeezing or spraying the tool where it makes a connection to the pipe? Is there, you know what I mean? Is that an advantage? I assume it wouldn't really matter. I don't know though. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I'm sure Dirk would confirm this. They would spray the pipe first, get it all coated, and then put the squeeze off on top of it.
Got you.
So that's a barrier between there, much like a sunscreen, if you will. It gives it a coating before the tool comes in contact with it.
It's kind of like your belt and suspenders, right? You might as well do both just to be safe.
Well, JT's right. The static's being generated inside the pipe. You always spray that first. That's where the source is. So you want to go to the source first to dissipate it.
Now, if we were talking, we see a lot of this industry still stuck in the Christopher Columbus ages when it comes to some of their specifications and how they do things. And I know that it's true. I mean, the plug valve was invented in like 1600.
I had a different joke, but I'm gonna move on past it.
Yeah, we'll skip yours.
Yeah,
This is
thank
a
you.
family show, Joe.
But you still see a lot of people even in their specifications, write the wet rag policy or the throwing it on there. I mean, I just can't imagine somebody not using your tools hand in hand and actually going out with a bucket of water or a bucket of leak soap or whatever they're using and dipping a rag in there and running it down, trying to dissipate static that way. I mean, I have a tough time even believing, it takes somebody jumping in the ditch to actually put that on there, where with your Ionix product, Dirk, you can have the long reach tool, and JT, a lot of your bigger tools essentially can be operated outside the ditch too. So we want to keep people away from it as much as we can.
That's right. You want to use those reach tools. You want tools that put distance between you and that pipe, because even though that pipe is grounded, if he stands too close to it, the worker could get a discharge from the downstream charge to him, and he could wind up being the grounding rod. So you want to use extended tools to keep distance, keep the worker away from a potential shock.
And you're sure, Dirk, there isn't a spec that says you have to use like 4 to 5 cans every time you do a squeeze? I'm a sales guy.
One case per squeeze. One case per squeeze. Right. You heard it here today, folks. I feel like we're on like the Sham Wow commercial with that one, Google. Like,
maybe so, but
buy it now. Show special.
We let the operator decide that.
No, I understand.
And the benefit of the Ionix is, especially in northern climates with soapy water, it's not going to freeze. It can be applied at different temperatures. I believe Dirk has a low temperature one too as well. So that can be used universally, north or south in the hemisphere. Versus soapy water, you're basically limited to 32 degrees, where it turns a little harder or slushy. It may not be as conductive or easy to spread on the pipe.
That's a great point, JT. Dirk, what, as far as the low temp, because we didn't even actually talk about that when we talked to you last time. What is the variance on that? What is the number?
It'll spray to -20.
Wow.
-20 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's cold.
So I can't imagine. Most of the time you're not in anything like that unless it's an emergency operation.
Sure.
So, and there's no upper limit. All the operating characteristics are the same. It's just the lower limit is lower with the low temp formulation.
JT,
the one thing that is really important, I'm sure JT would reemphasize this, is ground your tools. When Footage puts that grounding strap on there, that's not for decoration. That's serious. That's designed to protect the worker. Otherwise, he's going to be the grounding strap. So it's important that customers who use those tools, use them right and ground them.
Yeah.
And sadly enough, I've been on enough places, James, with you, where people take them off, and we need to.
Well, these are a pain dragging them around.
Yeah, because they're a pain. They wrap around things and they make it harder to move the tool around. And I think that's a message, Dirk, that you just brought up, and it's a very smart point. There's a reason why that's on the tool, and there's a reason that it comes along with it and why it needs to be utilized. So I just wanted to point that out. I've seen a lot of guys pull that off. And not have it on while they're doing squeezes.
I know. I have a Nova instance up here in the Northeast U.S. and it wasn't using a squeeze-off tool, but the same thing could happen. Is the guy got too close to the pipe and the static charge arced to him, it went through him out his toe, had to amputate his toe, and he nearly died. His heart stopped. So you do not take the strap off those squeeze-off tools. That's serious business.
Absolutely.
And further, even to that, when you have that ground spike planted in the soil, get a bottle of water, pour it around the spike, give it as much chance to connect to the ground, a smooth pathway, so it goes right to that. You don't become it, or the worker doesn't become it, or anybody present.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll wind up being the grounding strap.
I think the prevalent message is, honestly, guys, is safety. And that's what the whole point of this is. Obviously, with the grounding spike, with Dirk, with your product, and in addition to the long reach tools, I mean, that's really the goal here, is to be able to provide a safe environment to be able to have the guys do their work, and not have situations, Dirk, as you just alluded to. I think it's pretty cool. I've worked with both of you guys for a long time, and every time I talk to you, I learn a little bit more. And I'm hoping that, by doing more of these videos and more of this content, people continue to learn a little bit more and understand the reasons that your product exists and the functionality of them. So kudos to you guys, first of all, for being kind of, as we kind of joke around, Dirk, with you, a pioneer in the industry. I mean, you created a product from scratch based on a need. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And James, for 24 years of squeezing pipe, I mean, there's not another guy and that I've ever known that's more committed to his craft than you are. So we just, thank you guys for all that. Chad, I don't know if you have any more questions for the guys or.
No, I think we covered pretty much all of it. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I know that we've kind of never done something like this before, but we want to keep doing this and just creating conversation about how products work together. And maybe the next one we can grab Donna from Charter and add her.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. It's just interesting because as far as UPSCO goes, we hit so many different product lines and we do so many different things, but it's amazing how many of our product lines actually intertwine and make a connection with another product line. Use the word. But
nickel.
So it's but it's kind of neat when we can do this, just because we like to think of ourselves, I don't want to say it again, as pioneers, but we like to think that we're trying to bring new, different ways of thinking to the industry, and that's what we're here for. So.
And I think, Chad, you made a good point. I know that we goof around with the word connections, but I mean, just there's so many products that are intertwined, as you'd mentioned, that go downstream one to the next. And I think we all stay in our spot, right? We stay in our lane. This is my product and this is what I do. And I think the communication and the integration of multiple organizations and multiple products allows for a better and safer natural gas community. And that's really the goal here. So, unfortunately, Teddy's not here. I wish he was. He's out on a call today. There is still work to be done. So, Ted, thanks for going out and doing that while we sit here. But just again, thank you guys for everything. And maybe next time we get Donna on here and we do three-way and we talk about pipe and the impacts of polyethylene.
It would actually be like a 5 or 6 way, but that's a lot.
Yeah. We're gonna see if we can take you two and connect another person, then another person, and another person. So next thing you know, we got like 12 people on here. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not? We'll have a roundtable soon, I guess.
And Dirk, we know you always have the time, so we know you.
I have no life. I can mathematically prove it.
Yeah, well, Captain Static over here. So I just
Hey, it's electricity to you, but it's bread and butter to me.
Hey, man. It's a very, very important part of our what's going on in the industry. So, as Ted would say, without further ado, we'll kill this off and we'll end it and we'll talk to you boys real soon. We got an upcoming expo, so you guys are both on there to talk about your crafts too. So, we're excited about that. And thanks for your participation.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Dirk, James, great roundtable. I really enjoyed watching it.
It was phenomenal to watch. Yeah, guys, thanks for coming on. I mean, it was a little weird and different because we haven't done that before, and to try to get two things that cross-pollinate, but to be able to get it out, I think they did a great job. I was really happy with the outcome, so hopefully you guys were too. I don't know, Coos, you got anything?
No, I just well, I guess I do. Wow. I thought they were great. It started out a little slow, just trying to piece it together. But I think after the first 3-4 minutes, where everybody kind of feeling out where they're going with the conversation, it led to some really good talk and just some good information for the industry, really.
And I froze every 15 seconds, so it was like Chad interviewed them, and I just watched.
And every time you froze, I made that funny face, right? Yeah, that one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I know we started out talking about the UPSCO a little bit.
Expo fundraiser.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the fundraiser that only 3 people have donated to so far, and me and Joe are
2 of them.
And the other one, third, I believe, in UPSCO. So if anybody out there, seriously, we've been getting some really good registrants. If you had $5, $10, it doesn't need to be a lot. Just pitch it towards UPSCO so we can help the Moravia community with the Christmas stuff, and then also helping some families in need. It's really important to us. It's important to the show. It's just important in general that we take care of our place of business and the people that surround us and support us. So it's important.
Yeah, it's a good cause. I mean, like Chad said, I mean, it's just for those of you that have been in Moravia, New York, it's a relatively small community, and we support the community in a lot of different ways. And this is something that the organization has done for a long, long time. And if we can just, double down on that and give back a little bit more, specifically in this year. It's been a little bit different, as we all know, than most years. So a lot of people out there need help. So if we can do anything to help that cause, we really appreciate all your support on that. So
Sweet.
Great cause from a great company. Other than that, Connections for Life. Till next week.
You skipped Joe's gas fact.
Every week.
Oh, wow.
I was waiting for somebody to yell gas fact so I could actually
Gas fact.
Gas fact.
Gas fact.
So I pulled this up on the American Gas Association webpage. I thought it was really interesting because I don't know, it was an interesting fact for me. The average American home consumes 40% less natural gas than it did 40 years ago. And I find that really, really odd, that back then there weren't that many homes that were powered by natural gas, and now that we've created a better network and a more efficient way of delivering gas, and all the other things that go along with that. I just thought that was a really cool fact for everybody out there. So whatever.
Do you think it's I mean, I know it's just a fact, but do you think it's just solely based on efficiency, or do you think it's, I mean, I don't know. It's just
there's other factors.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably, pressure and volume and a lot of different factors.
Probably proper usage is one of the things. But what interests me even more, and I don't mean to talk about it for a long time, but Mike Eastman.
But we're gonna.
But when Mike Eastman retired, remember we talked about how the gas price hadn't even gone. It really hadn't changed
6 cents
since he started. So think about that even more. Wow, they're using 40% less gas, and it's pretty much almost the same price.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I mean, it is, but it's just like anything else. I mean, when everything the goal is to become more energy efficient, right? That's the goal of everything. And I think it just goes to show that the commitment to the industry, that's actually happened to keep the costs relatively flat, but also increase the efficiency. It's a win-win. So I just wanted to put that one out there. We'll do another one next week if Ted remembers. And yeah, you guys got to yell that now. Just made that up. Made that. I think I'm frozen again. Am I frozen?
Why? Because I made that weird
enjoyment. So
yeah.
Back.
All right, let's go.
It's time for us to say goodbye. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Like, subscribe, all the normal things. We love you guys. Connections for Life out.